Good evening, my fellow Americans. My name is George Wilson, George A. Wilson, and I am your presidential candidate for this year, 2020. Good evening. I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. I pray that everybody is safe and everybody's doing everything they can to stay safe and to be safe with your families as well as those in your neighborhood and those in your communities. Make sure you're wearing your protective mask and gloves when needed. That you don't affect anyone else and no one affects you. I just wanted you to know that in recent new light, some of you may know, some of you may not know. And I think most of us are getting the grip that, getting the really idea that the President of the United States, your president, Donald Trump, for those Trumpers, and some of you Democrats probably follow him as well, is now basically giving every state the go-ahead to reopen. Contradictory from a point that it said some time ago that he was leaning toward to stay at home and social distancing. Now we see that 29 states has begin to show signs of opening. And they hadn't really given there were some in some areas where there's very little to no virus activity going on. They're giving them the full swing to open completely. And in other states that have very little, but they're seeing like the curve has flattened, is giving those states to go ahead to open up some things, while others are defying the whole thing about the president's mandate and the CDC's mandate of not if you're going to open, there's a certain way you have to open. A lot of them are basically not paying any attention to it. They're opening their way. So we have a lot of things going on right now. This government that is in place right now is out to kill us. More Afro-American than anybody else right now, but this government is out to kill us. One, there is no cure in sight for this coronavirus. Okay? They haven't corralled it. They hadn't, come to a point that it's been quarantined and it won't spread anywhere else. There's not enough testing going on. Very little testing, if any. Not nearly as enough testing that they need to be doing per day in each and every state and cities that are in the state. So this is alarming to me to actually endorse or saying I'm giving all responsibility to the states, saying, now they all know that the governors of the state know that he wants the economy back up. And he's probably talking to the governors right now, probably. Who knows? And saying, hey, we gotta open up. We gotta do whatever. Okay, these are Democrats and Republicans, but mostly Republicans, states are putting the force to reopen. Hello, Mary. Where am I? Uh, they're getting these states to open up. Okay, now they have 1,200,000 and I forgot how many. 1,200,000, 201, 1,000,000 in 200 cases, a little over 200 cases of coronavirus in America. Okay, it's now up to 71,000 people have passed away, died because of this coronavirus, and their dying, their cases are going up, and the death rate is going down to a minimum, to a point, but they're still dying from this. Not as alarming as it was before, and that's mostly because people were staying at home, going out for the bare minimum, social distancing, and they were covered up, and in some cases protecting their outerwear and depending on the state and where, if you're in the area of hotspots. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right now. Now the numbers, that was numbers about 8 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock. That was the total numbers at that point. Now, I don't know what it is now, and I certainly don't know what tomorrow will bring, as the numbers will probably continue to climb. This wonderful president of ours is supposed to lead the country by example. Well, we first off had his vice president, Pence, went somewhere, to the Mayo Clinic, and he wore no mask. Everybody else was. And they weren't practicing social distancing. Donald Trump says, President Donald Trump says, that he's not going to wear a mask. He said, now, if y'all want to wear it, okay, my staff feel that they have need to wear it, they can wear it, but I won't. Then he comes right back to say, well, if they want me to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask. I don't want to, but I'll obey the guidelines. Well, he went to a company that are making the masks. They make these masks. And him and whomever else was with him, now the people working in there were wearing masks. He has on goggles, but no mask. The people that came with him were standing there with him, wearing goggles. Secret Service, other people were with him, news reporters or whomever it was, press secretary, was with him, and no mask. Help me with something. If you're saying to me that social distancing needs to be in order and wearing a mask for protection, wouldn't you think your commander-in-chief would set the bar or the example by wearing a mask? Wouldn't you think so? I think so. Okay. So, here we go with some more news. Not only has he obviously think this is a victory at some point, that he thinks this is a victory. He says all the models that they're shown that this can get out of control is a hoax or a lie, basically what he's saying, and there's no mitigation for it. In other words, they're broken, or they're saying, okay, they're incorrect, blah, blah. So now he's pointing fingers, or basically saying, I'm not going to go by these models that these scientists have put out there because I'm the president. I'm not listening to science anymore. I'm not listening to professional doctors that know about these things. I'm not trying to hear Anybody trying to come in and explain away to me what is dangerous. Well, you got to think this is not strange when you got a president that's talking about injecting yourself with household cleaners, bleach and Lysol. So that in itself is like, I don't think strange for him to do what he's doing. Because if he can say that in national television around the world, people look at him like, what? Really? And some people thought it was just like downright insane. I did. I'm one of the ones that thought it was completely insane. I'm like, is he insane? Other choice words: stupid, idiot, dumb, ignorant, whatever. I can think of a few wonderful words that would describe this man right now. Narcissistic, sociopath, whatever. Let's move on from that. Anyway, he put the task force in place. He couldn't handle the task force because things he was saying was stirring up concern. So they say, hey, look, give it to your vice president. Let Mike Pence handle it. And so he turned everything over, the task force, over to Mike Pence. And check this out, though. Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, to run the task force, to choose the people that he thought would be a help to this pandemic and give sound advice and sound science to this whole thing. Well, Mike Pence chose his team, and not one was a biologist, not one was a medical professional, not one was a scientist, but they were globalists, economists, and people with no pandemic experience whatsoever. So he then called on Donald Trump's son-in-law to spearhead it. You're in charge. I'm just, I'm just the boss. You run the whole shebang. You report to me. Tell me what's going on. And it gives him leeway to talk on national television. And to listen to this man talk, you'd be like, is that a Trump cutout? Because you would think, you talk a little bit more intelligent than Donald Trump, of course, but you must be a cutout of the same mold like him, because you sound just like him, but a little bit more intelligent. At the same time, you're saying stuff that's just not true. How can we listen to a man that has no pandemic experience or expertise anywhere? Not in the medical field. He don't know nothing about the medical field. He know nothing about biologists and chemistry and chemists. He knows nothing about the folks, epidemics. He don't know nothing about epidemic. I can't think of the word, how to say it. But anyway, we know what we're talking about. Okay, he knows nothing about that, about an epidemic, how, other than what he reads, okay, or what he gets as some news brief, okay. He knows nothing about viruses whatsoever. He's not a scientist. He knows nothing. Absolutely zero. Nothing. But the Vice President of the United States decided to put him in charge of this task force. And then taking his leave from his president, of course, which is his father-in-law. And I'm sitting there listening, say, is anybody going to say anything about this? Because this is getting like really stupid now. I mean, it's getting to the point, it's getting really, really old and stupid. It's insane. One, how could you put people back to work when it's not safe? How can you criticize people for not going back to work when they don't trust the idea if that place, the workplace, is safe enough for me to go back? You can't get mad at people if they won't go back to work. But then you want to cut them off of certain services because you feel they should be go back to work. It's like saying you can leave a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it. Well, he's beating the horse to make the horse drink the water. He's forcing people to go to work in these plants that shut down after the president they shut it down anyway. They did their whatever it took for them to get the plants up and running. It was, cleaned and sanitized, blah, 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 to OSHA and the CDC specification. They put some things in place that weren't there before, masks and shields and PPE, let's put it that way, in place for their employees. Because technically if you work in a plant, you can't practice social distancing when everybody's on assembly line or everybody's working together to do whatever they do. It's not where you can say, you stay 6 feet, you stay 6 feet. That means a part of this job that you're doing is going to not get done because you're spacing it out too far. So now you have to make sure they have proper gear, gloves, which they already wear anyway, but gloves, clothing, whatever it is, to ensure that there's safety in the plant and the people they're working with cannot transfer this virus. So they're not going to work because they feel that they don't have all the measures in place. So Smithfield Company in South Dakota, the plant is open, but they're having trouble getting people back to work for production. Okay, so, and Donald Trump is coming down on them, the meat producers, to get these people back to work somehow. Assure them or whatever you got to do that is safe for them to go back to work. Well, anyway, yeah, I let that ride. Meaning, watching the economy, that would be 20%, they said by Friday, which means we're in total recession. Meaning, it's going to be worse than it's ever been, ever. Since the Cold War era. Even worse than that. That's pretty bad. When you have more people dead than the Civil War, and the numbers are rising, and they soon will be more than World War I and World War II. Right now, the death total for citizens in the United States are more than every other war except for World War I and World War II. And there's still Afghanistan, Iran, and there's another one out there somewhere that's still ongoing with numbers as long as we got U.S. soldiers over there. This is alarming, people. It's so alarming that I, as a citizen and as your presidential candidate, is pleading to you people to think before you put yourself out there. I know we all need to get back to work. I talk to many people in the grocery store or on the streets, and they would just say, they would just be talking to me, and they would be like going, some like they need to get back to work. Other people are going stir crazy because they're up in age and there's no one in the home but them. So you don't have no one to talk to. And you self-quarantine. That can be a little annoying. It could drive one batty. Okay? It's just a lot of things happening now. And I know that, we're trying. I know we want to get out there. I know we want the restaurants open up. I know we want all the parlors to open up. I know we want our jobs to open back up. I know we need more supermarket open where you can go in. We want to be able to sit down and eat. I don't know how they're going to make this work, social distancing thing, or maybe they'll just drop it and say, "Oh yeah, come on back in. We need all the money we can get." If you choose not to sit with somebody, that's fine. And they kind of keep the thing where your party size is no more than 10 to 25 people, which I think is way too many people when you're supposed to be social distancing. You're saying one out of the 25 will affect everybody in that group, and they will start affecting everybody in the whole restaurant or wherever they go. This can get to a point that they've been talking the second wave. We're already in the second wave. And we're, as one doctor put it, we're in the third inning of this pandemic, of a 9-inning ball game. And we're in the third inning. And you got like 6 more innings to go and play. That's a long time. We still got a long way to go. Well, they said there was going to be hundreds of thousands of vaccines by the end of the year. Donald Trump promised that. Well, he promised that there would be a test for anyone who wants it, too. That was a lie. He promised this was only going to 15-0. There's another lie for you. Okay? All this will mysteriously disappear in April. Again, another lie. Again, lies after lies, contradictory after contradictory. And this president, takes off and no one's really flying. The American Airlines are cutting their staff. Only basically flights are leaving at certain times, and that's all. Their personnel is cut down. Hours have been shortened to 4 days a week. Folks are hurting. And he gets aboard his Marine One to go to the airport, to fly to Andrews Airport, to fly Air Force One. Across the country to go to the plant makers that make him the N95 mask. Go figure, right? And that was just a ploy, because he wanted to see how this would go. And then he sends a tweet saying that Americans need to go back to flying. How is that safe? Anybody know? Because I'm finding it very hard. Now, if I had a real job other than this, and in ministry otherwise, that I do, I wouldn't go back right away. Not when the virus is still out there. Not when the end is not in sight. Not when you don't have any vaccines, real vaccines, not garbage, real stuff. Not when this thing is not corralled or quarantined, that it will not go anywhere else, do anybody else no harm. That every state has quarantined their own. They finally know where the corona is, and they saying this is where it is in this state. We finally can shut it down and keep it right here. So, but that's kind of hard to do without testing and tracing. And this is all part of the job of the task force to make sure that this happens. Well, your president, not mine, but yours, your president decides that he wants to back up, or basically, he already said testing was, what did he say? Either testing was not necessary. So now he's basically slowly weaning out the task force, saying it's not needed. It wasn't needed when he started putting all these people together that didn't know crap. You should have shut that down right then, because you should have looked and said, Mike, what's up? Why there's nobody here that knows anything? What are these people's jobs, and what are they supposed to help accomplish here? No, he's vice president. Let him deal with it. Something go wrong, that's on him. That's not on me. Wrong, Mr. President. If your vice president screw up, they're gonna look back at you. If your son-in-law screws up, then the vice president gets blamed, and the vice president will blame you because you appointed him over a job he didn't even want. Have you ever noticed Mike Pence go out there sometime with President Trump, and he looks at him like, give him that look like, why am I even out here? Then he looks at him again like, why are we out here? Let these people do what they do. Why we trying to look good? We don't need this exposure. But what? We're down in the polls. People are starting to dislike us by the droves. We're going to lose battleground states that you said the Sleepy Joe couldn't win, and he's winning certain states now. By social media, because he sure can't get out there. But he can now, I guess, because Trump is doing it, so I guess he's like, oh, hell, let me go out there, I guess I could too. And it's all political. Never been about the people. Never been about the lives. It's about his own political agenda to be reelected. It's about money. That's all it's ever been with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. That's all. And it ain't been about nothing else. How to make more money, how to look good, and how to stay president. He don't care who neck he stands or who neck he crushes on his feet, or back he breaks. But his dictative ways, because he ain't a dictator yet, but he's acting like one. Trying to be one. And he fell in that because he don't even know how to be a dictator. But that's what he wants. And we're following this. Folks, I know, and you got to know that I know, okay? I feel you in my heart. I know, and God knows, that this country is in a pinch. We got other things happening too. We got killer hornets killing the bee population. That means the honey manufacturing, producing factory is going to swindle because these things are killing colonies of bees. First off, where they came from. Again, we heard they came from China. I don't know if they came from China. Don't you think this was killing a manufactured business that produces fruits and vegetables as well as honey? Because bees are very important to our culture as far as agriculture. If the bees don't pollinate, things don't grow. Simple. And if these killer hornets are killing the population of bees, now I'm thinking these can't be real killer hornets, like killer hornets, like actual bug killer hornets. I think they were, mass produced somehow. They're looking like and acting like real, whatever. I don't know. It could be China found another way to get back at us. I don't know. They said these swarms came from China. I have no idea. And then my question now becomes, ding, if they came from China, how they wind up here? And there were other countries leaving, if they were leaving China, there's other countries that this swarm could have bees in their other countries. Why didn't they just go to other countries and destroy their Cuba and all these other places? Florida, well, not Florida, the United States, but Cuba and all these, Honduras and all these other countries that rely on the bee pollination as well. Not only just for honey, just for agriculture purposes. So why this thing from China, this killer hornets, go to any of these other countries? How did it wind up here? And why is it killing mass production of bee population here? See, they won't talk too much about that. They mentioned it and that was it. They ain't saying how it got here. How did it? Is it really true it came from China? And if it was, how did they know to come here? I know that every living organism have, different sensitivities or different things that navigate them, so to speak. Or, we are humanoids. That's an insect or a bug or pestilence. Again, even if it was such a thing, are they programmed somehow to wind up here? Or there's some type of wavelength they planted in these bugs, are they mass produced by some mad scientists to make these things look like real action killer hornets? And why? And they were showing that they were killing people too. People that got stung by them are really sick. And I heard there was a few cases of people dying. Again, I've seen up close pictures of these little things. Somebody was holding it about the size of a penny, maybe a little bigger. And I said, that don't even look like a hornet. I know what hornets look like. I got stung by a few. I know what they look like. Okay? Step on hornet's nest? Yeah, that's your butt. Okay? But I'm saying, you would have to have several stings from at least 10 to 50 of them to kill you because of the type of poison they're pumping into your body. 1 will make you sick, 2 will make you sicker, and so on and so forth. It would take a lot of that poison to be pumped into your system to cause your system to break down to kill you. So you would have to be attacked by many of them, not just so much as 1 or 2. Again, but they don't tell you this. So how's that story plausible? And especially they were basically attacking the bee colony. So why would they come even attack humans? Unless humans were trying to protect their hives and beehives that they have and were smoking them. Or I don't know. But anyway, how could they have gotten, if they weren't corrective material, they could have got stung by these mad hornets. Okay? So it's just, I don't know, another ploy somewhere. Anyway, to blame China for something. And again, I wouldn't put nothing past China. They don't like us. Okay? And we're not too high on them either. But just what we're facing. There said there was also another strand of this, of some type of disease. I forgot what they call it. Kawaki or something like that. KWA something, another other. Can't say the name. is affecting children. And they believe it's a strand or has directly something to do with COVID-19. It really wasn't affecting a lot of children, but now they find another strand of it is affecting children now, basically killing children. And I'm like, and they scientists say that this, they say can or could be. They're not totally sure yet, but they believe this is a mutated strand that it's relative to COVID-19 that are now affecting children's immune system and killing them, shutting them down. And some get to the hospital on time and they could, but because it's a different strand, they don't know exactly what they're up against, and we still don't know what we're up against with COVID-19. So again, I'm listening to all these things that are popping up in the news, and there are all these things that are happening, and yet this social path wants to open up the country. If it's true, there's another strand of COVID-19 called, it starts with KAW, Kawak something they call it. I can't remember totally the name of it, but anyway, if this is another strand of COVID-19, and it's true that it's killing children, why in the world would you try to open up the economy or open up these states? Because sooner or later you're going to open up schools. And like I said, all you got to do is affect a few kids, and they go to a school of, thousands of people throughout the student body and kids. Other kids, you're going to have a problem on your hand. A real serious one. We can get over an older person passing on. It hurts. It's dire. Especially if you lose his mom, dad, whatever. But when you start losing children, that's when things go south real fast, real quick. And folks will start losing their minds, start losing children. You know what I'm saying? If I had little ones, I'd be afraid. I'd be sorely and deadly afraid to let my child outside anywhere. I know I don't want to keep him cooped up in the house, but I'd be so afraid that if he'll play with just anybody in the house. No, you can't play with your little friends. I know you want to play with your little friends. No, you can't play with your little friends. But didn't I just say you want to go out? This is how we do it. You keep talking back, you're going back in that house and you're staying in there. You can't play with your little friends. Not now. I know it's hard for you to understand, but you have to try to explain to these children that they're little friends. And don't say that children are different than adults. We look at things differently, of course. And children, you tell them your little friends might be sick and you don't want them to get them. No, they're outside playing too and bouncing around. But they don't get it. We get it, but they don't. And so we got to think for them when it comes to this. Because they're only thinking of their little buddies. Their little girlfriends or whatever. And they want to play. And you can't blame them for that. Because what children do. They want to play. And you can't keep children locked up in the house for so long. But they start driving you nuts. Because they're going nuts. So you got to get them outside. How you keep them within a family setting. Everybody plays together in the family. That means I know what's in my house. So when I take my house outside, I'm going to make sure that it's everybody that's going to play or get out and have some type of activity is going to be protected when they go out, and give everybody some air so everybody can play little games or whatever you do outdoors, whatever. Until you tired the rags out or you get tired. Children have the energy, boy. They'll wear you out. You'll be tired. They'll be like, man, are you finished yet? I still want to play. Oh, my God. I don't believe you still want to play. And you be trying to find ways to tire this little guy out. Or tire your little princess out. So they can go back in the house. Go to bed, take a nap. You know what I mean? Nap time. But we have to do what we got to do, right? To protect our family, and especially the little ones. Because it sounds like to me, this thing with the adults thing is not working as quickly as they want it to do, or they still try to stretch this thing out longer than it should. And folks are just really hip to what's going on now, so that no one is blinded by this anymore, except for the children. And so when we start waking up and seeing what they're doing, eventually we're going to have a protest, not just to open up. We're going to have a protest because we know that you're killing us sooner or later. But the babies, they don't know what we're doing. So they got to come up with something else, right? So they figure. I'm not saying this is true, guys. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not saying anything crazy as saying, I'm just going by information. Little research. You tell me one thing, but I'm going to look at it. I'm going to make sure. Because I ain't lying to anybody about anything. But you gotta, this is what they're saying. It's overseas. I believe it's overseas somewhere. I don't know, Switzerland or where I saw it. It's not here in the U.S. yet. But the same thing, neither was coronavirus either, but it might have been in the United States. Okay? Other proof that this was going on a lot longer than January, but okay. October last year, other given proofs. Now the guy that Trump fired or removed from his job from the NIH to do another job because they didn't want him, Trump didn't want to hear the scientists, he didn't want to hear what he had to say. And Trump wanted vaccine ASAP. You can't make vaccines that quick. It got to go through testing and more testing, then try for clinical trials. If the testing passes. Okay? But then you don't go to clinical trials. Why would you? But anyways, so in his mind, he thinks this could happen overnight. They were trying to tell him it's not going to happen overnight. And they gave him the 411 on what was going on months and months before this thing took off and went crazy. And he ignored everything they told him. And so the guy is now Tuesday, I don't know when, one day this week or next week, he's going to testify that he told Donald Trump in a hearing in the House that he warned Donald Trump of everything that was happening, and he ignored him. Fauci was supposed to be there with him, but they basically put a gag order on Fauci. Said, no, don't go. I don't want you testifying. And the reason why, because they know he would agree with this guy, that's a whistleblower now, that he would agree with him that they all work together in the circle, to be honest. Okay? But these are one of the two guys that if you want real-time information, correct information, they was giving him step-by-step correct information, and he didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to, I don't know the fact he believed it or not. He just didn't want to hear it. And you see what happens when you don't listen to sound advice. It bites you in your butt. And it did. Took a very huge chunk out of that chunky butt of his. So one side of his butt is kind of pushed in because he took a chunk. Like a shark bite. So, I need acting crazy because every time I sit down, he got no left hip. But anyway, just about it. But you understand what I'm saying? All this is today that's happening. And I just want to reach out to these states that are trying to open up. Guys, please, you're going to infect everybody. You're going to see another spiky in this that you cannot handle. You know what I'm saying? We are nowhere prepared if this thing jumps off again or if it increases to another level. None of us are prepared for what that can look like and feel like. They had a choice. They chose of two evils, opening up in the middle of a pandemic versus lives versus money. They chose money over lives. But it's 71,000 people dead in the United States for this COVID virus. Common sense would tell you this thing ain't going away. Common sense would also tell you sometimes you're looking at a backdraft. Sometimes the fire goes and it seems like the fire is out. Or you see smoke. And sometimes you don't see no smoke. And you would think that the curve has flattened because everything looks like it's coming down and there's no significant rise. Now there in some state there is a significant rise. Still constant rise. Excuse me. I knew that was going to happen. I was trying to avoid it, but over. Anyway, so it's a constant rise. Folks, think about your family. Think about your parents. Think about those that have underlying issues. It's not just the African American. Yes, we are number one for having underlying issues. But we're talking about all Americans that have underlying issues. This thing re-strengthens and blow back, because that's what backdraft does. It goes away, it hides, and when you least expect it, the door feels cool. You know, not hot. You feel the walls. It's not hot. Now, all firemen are told to lay low, to go in low, not high. And when you feel the wall is cool and the door is cool, and it looks like the fire is not behind that wall. So if there's another room, you could check to make sure there's no fire. And the minute you open the door and the draft from this room goes in that room, backdraft, whoa. And then it goes the whole room that you thought wasn't on fire, and it blows back into the room that you just recently put out, and it kills everybody because of the force. This was going to be like backdraft. That's what's going to be like a backdraft. People don't think the fire is completely out, or the fire's died down enough that it's safe. They think this pandemic can die down. They could take the P off of it and call it an epidemic. That means no longer a pandemic, it's just an epidemic. That means we still got it going on. And see, that's what Donald Trump thinking in his mind. It's now not a pandemic. It means it's safer, just be careful, but it's safer to open economy back up. He wants to do this before Friday because if it stays down before up until Friday, we're going to be at 20%. 20% means we're completely about the stock market and banks and all that is about to crash. No president under any administration. Obama had a recession in 2008. And it took a minute to get the economy back going. And we haven't had one since. And now we're looking at something twice as worse or 10 times as worse than Obama, Clinton, the Bushes, even Reagan. Going up back to Nixon era. It's unheard of. And we talk about an economy crash. If this crashes, we're in big trouble. And he knows this. And he's trying to get everything open. Because once the economy starts opening and people are working, then they can take all this money that if you hadn't gotten your stimulus check, you ain't going to get it. Trust me. They had another certain trillions of dollars that they took out for a second wave to help those not working. If the economy goes back up and people go back to work, you'll never see that. That's how Trump works. Instead of saying, you know what, we can still bounce back from this, but we can do it safely. No, he wants. I can guarantee you, as sure as I'm sitting here, I can guarantee you. The 29 states that are up and about, that will be up and about by Friday, and others going to join the band probably into next week. And so it'd be more than 29 states. It'll probably be 30, possibly 40. I don't know. But I could guarantee you, get enough states open, just enough to open up, and just see what's going on for about a couple of weeks. And then he'll send the order, take your foot off the gas, and let everybody open up. It's safe now. You open that door, Mr. President, and you're going to get a backdraft that you ain't never, ever witnessed in your entire life. And the death rate is going to go higher, and it's going to be more than every war that this country has ever been in. That's including World War I and World War II. And it's going to be your fault. It's going to be your fault. And I tell you, I've been so fortunate, so lucky, so fortunate. I'm not lucky, fortunate. I've been so fortunate, thank God, that no one I know of personally has had this or has contracted it or has died from it. Thank God. But I can't say that about everyone else who may have had somebody that passed away, that have had it. And our heart goes out to you guys. I'm bleeding for you guys. Because I know what it is to lose family members. I know. Especially horribly. See, I lost my brother to AIDS. And that was a horrible experience. I lost my brother, another brother, to gun violence. Okay? I lost another brother that was evidently attacked from behind at a halfway house. And he died. Okay? To all types of violence. I lost my sister and her 3 kids. Well, 2 kids. One of them survived, thank God for him. And 2 of her kids brutally stabbed to death in their own apartment. So when you watch these police shows, it's real, but it's only TV. When you gotta live that, that's a whole nother ballgame. So I know what it's like to lose parents to cancer, a cousin to cancer. Okay? Aunts to cancer and all types of other disease that takes family members away. This is worse than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And I only, you can't begin to imagine. I can't even begin to imagine what that might feel like to people that have lost loved ones or got loved ones now that are on incubators, respirators. I can't begin to imagine what that's like for you. But your government is not doing anything to try to stop this. All he is pushing is for you to go to work. Well, something my wife said to me, she was pretty upset about it when she heard about me watching news. And she said, he's an idiot. She said, if you're going to open up in the middle of a pandemic, why did you even close down in the beginning? Made a lot of sense. It didn't make no sense to close down because you wanted to protect us, so you said. Then to turn around and to throw us right back out into the very same thing you closed us down for. Because now it's a little better, you want to expose us. Those of us that have not been tested, we don't even know who's still carrying it. And you want to throw maybe thousands and 10,000 of people, American citizens, they may have this and they don't know they're carrying it and they're spreading it and you putting it back in the workplace. Are you insane? And I don't care what people say. Oh, he done this, he done. You know what? Out of everything Donald Trump did that was right, this just messed that whole thing up. If you were going to re-elect him on something that, if people say, he made more jobs than anybody and whatever, and he was lower unemployment rate than whatever. And I had an argument about that one, of course, but that's my argument. And I'm like going, okay, maybe true, maybe true. Again, I'll say maybe true. But he's the only president that allowed this kind of pandemic to even come into the United States, did nothing about it, allowed it to continue, and then when it's too late, you want to do something about it, and then the economy has to shut down, and we're almost near the Cold War crash again, and the unemployment rate has reached somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, over 60,000 or 60 million Americans. 60 million Americans are out of work. Out of work. Because of this. Ain't no president ever caused that kind of mess that I know of. I'll say this in my closing. Tomorrow or Wednesday, Thursday, and work diligently hard. I have a way that, with some help of some people, that we can work on to help America change the economy, change homelessness, change the environment. I have a way. Been working on some stuff. And I'll share that with you on Thursday's video. I also will mention what we need to be concerned with today. But I will say this as in closing today. Americans, please, let's think before we act. Let's use prudence and use wisdom. Let's think before you put yourselves in a deadly harm way. I don't want to see anything else happen to any more Americans. We can't help those that are on the front line trying to take care of the loved ones that we already have on respirators. Because if we overflow those hospitals and those supposedly set up camps for this virus as now, and we overflow these things, and our frontline people that are healthcare professionals get sick because they've got so many more cases, and then they can't help people. There won't be in America to worry about a crash. Are you listening to me? There won't be in America to worry about. There won't be in America to worry about re-electing any president or electing any president. Because this thing will be so crazy. More than any of us have imagined. And I want to put one another little bug in your ear. Notice something. If this pandemic is what it is, and the numbers are right, how is it that everybody in Washington don't have the bug? The president don't have it. No mask. The vice president, no mask. Press secretaries, no mask. How are they not getting this thing? What do they know that we don't know? How is it that a town or state like Michigan can be treated the way they're being treated, and folks losing their mind and killing folks because of all this? Something that should have never happened in the Afro-American neighborhoods. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't envy any person or anybody that would remotely think about dealing with taking this job as President of the United States. Sometimes I'll be honest with you guys, and I told you I'll never lie to you guys. Sometimes I'm thinking to myself, Lord, this is going to be one impossible way that even begin to try to help Americans to turn this thing around. Because of all the politicking. When it's all about PR and not about people. It's all about big money, big businesses, and not about the American people. It's all about re-election and his rise to fame. Still again, not about the American people. I can't keep sitting back here watching this. Every day I watch the news and I see stuff. People send me stuff all the time. And they're worried. And they have a right to be. Because their commander and chief taking the least path of resistance. A coward taking the easy way out. He mocked military, talking about it's a war. And in a war, there are casualties. This is true. Being in the military, I know all about that. And yes, he may say something partially right. Yes, we are in a war for our lives, our livelihood, our rights, our liberties. We're in a war, absolutely, to fight this thing and to end it. as Malcolm X, taking a quote from Malcolm X, by any means necessary, other than violence. Got to put that out there. Other than violence. You can't get things done when everybody got a hot head. A hot head. You can't do it. Now, the reason how he mocked it is like saying, we got to take a chance. If you want to risk your life, sir, risk your life. You're not risking mine. And you're not going to risk my family's life because you took the least path of resistance. You are a coward. You're the one putting us out there in this war, and you sitting back cushy somewhere else. Excuse me, it's getting warm in this room. Every time I get warm, I start coughing. Don't want to cough out of control. Gotta have my water. So, I'm saying this on live. He's a coward, a poor general. His vice president is a coward. Also, a poor colonel that will leave the battlefield and let the people or his soldiers, privates or whatever rank they are, fight a battle without a commander or without communications officer, without medics, without expertise on the field. We can never win the war because we don't have the right people leading us in the war. Because, you know the old adage, captain goes down with the ship? No. I want to call him the B word so bad, but I'm trying not to, because some folks will come back and mock me later. You're supposed to be a pastor. You can't go call people bastards. I didn't call them bastards. I said, I want to call them one, to be honest with you. But I can't. So, I don't want to fight like him, Dirty Pool. I don't want to fight get into a fight with him on his terms. That's what everybody else is doing. They're fighting him on his terms, not me. Believe me. I'm fighting him on my terms. My name is George A. Wilson. I am your Democratic president candidate from California. And I'm running for president of the United States of America. I'm running for your commander-in-chief that you can trust, that you can believe in, have true confidence. I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, guys, because anybody come back and tell you it's going to happen overnight, they lied to you. No, can't do this by myself. And I'll keep saying it when we get to the White House, when we get to the government. We, you and me, us, the American people, we're going to take back the government. And we're going to do the things that we need to do to help ourselves. And let the government do what the government's supposed to do. And let us do what we need to do for us. Stop depending on a system that is corrupted. That don't mean us no good anyway. Trust me. Am I a recipient of that system? Yes, for time being. So I know where you are. And I know how you feel. Because I'm a U.S. citizen too. I'm retired. And I'm disabled. So I know what it's like to be hurting, to be suffering, to go through things. I'm right here with you. We'll see this thing to the end. We will make it. We will rise, stand tall, and again, be proud to be American. So vote for me in November election. on the 3rd. Now, I don't know if the polls, I don't know what they're going to do about the polls. I don't know how bad this pandemic is going to last and how bad it would be by then. I could imagine if this goes according to their plan, by the end of this month, we're going to have more deaths than a little bit. A projection for June, by June 1 or something like that, I believe it was, the last seen. Their projection is like 135,000 dead people to this coronavirus. We can't let this happen, guys. We shouldn't let this happen. And I'm going to say one thing else, and I'm done here. If this happens, don't look to the president and blame him or his staff. You already know what he's like. You know what he's about. Blame you. You chose to go back out here when that stuff is out here and knowingly now and willingly went back to work knowing that this stuff, there's no vaccines for it right now. There's no medication. They're working on some stuff, but they don't have a definitive answer on that yet. And the testing, they need more products. They're not testing nearly enough per day. I think it's 300,000 per day they're supposed to be testing. In every state, nearly every city. And they're not doing that because we don't have those kind of tests. And they're not tracking the ones that they're already taking. They're not tracking. And now they want to back off in the middle of a game and say game over. And you got a base loaded with men. You got a batter. You got the other team. And then both dugouts get up and walk out because the coaches on both teams call the game in the middle of a game. And the fans get up and walk out. They're booing and walking out. And so you got two teams looking at each other like, what is just happened to us? Now everybody got to walk off the field in the middle of a game because there's no leadership. There's no nothing. Game over. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves if it becomes in game or game over. Because we choose to be fooled by a government and governors that believe for some odd dumb reason that this is going to end, as the president said. The same president said to inject yourself with bleach or Lysol. His suggestion. I don't know. But anyway, I'm running for your president of the United States of America. My name is George A. Wilson. Vote for me as your commander-in-chief. You will get things. We will get things done. I'm a type of a guy that believes on being foot on the ground. I'm not going to be sitting up in the White House somewhere behind a desk barking orders. Yes, I got to give orders to this one. I got to look at this. I got to hear this. But if you're hurting, I'm hurting. If my assistance is needed because of any type of mishaps, I will be there. I won't leave you out there by yourself. I will not say that we're going to send you assistance. I will be on the phone, on the ground, and I won't leave until that assistance shows up where it's needed and make sure that they're doing their job. And that the American people are looked after. That's who I am. Now, anybody knows me that I don't lie. So this is not a gimmick. This is not a game for me. I didn't come into this business to be seen or to be heard and to look like he's charismatic. I'm real. And we need a real leadership that's saying enough is already enough. We're going to head for a new norm, and you're going to need a new president. You're going to need somebody that's going to navigate you and to help you weather the new norm, because we're not going back to the old way. That's gone. So we got to deal with what's in front of us. I'm not saying everything's going to go rosy. I'm not saying I'm not going to have to make some real hard decisions. I may have to get us back to a place where we can be safe and realize that he's only doing this for us. Trust me. Because I want every American to be proud. That they can say out of their own mouth, out of their own heart, out of their own belly, I'm proud again to be an American. And I stand behind my commander-in-chief. I got to applaud those folks standing behind Donald Trump. I do. Because thick and thin, they right there. Even though they're misguided and some other words here we could talk about, but am I going to win a lot of Republicans? Probably not. But I want to win some. Because we're all Americans, regardless. Whether you're in power or you're not. Whether you're high class, low class. We're still all American people. No matter the ethnicity, don't matter where you came from, no matter where country you came from, as an asylum in the United States. If you're in the United States and you are in process of visas or getting your passports or work visas or becoming a U.S. citizen, you are a citizen under this administration and you are protected with the laws and protected under the laws and every guideline that this country offers. Your protection is here. No one from any other country could come here and drag you back to where you just came from. ICE and all those immigration people will not, under my administration, be told by me to deport anybody that's in this country legally. And you got family here. We want to reunite you with your family. You may have to go through a process to make sure that there is no disease or any type of thing going on with you. And that's just basically just common sense. Make sure you don't have anything. But we will work diligently hard to get you back with your families. Because family means everything. Because without family, we crumble. So family means everything. To me and to this administration. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that your family gets back together. No one walks alone in this United States of America as an American citizen. And we're going to clean up what's going on down at the border and all these immigrants that are mistreated, children inhumanely being treated, and young teenagers and young adults that will understand. That will end under this administration. These people will be accepted in the United States. They've been held long enough. They've been isolated. They've been quarantined. And now they're going through stuff. They will be cared for and checked and double checked and possibly triple checked before we make sure that we get them into the United States safely and we reunite them with their families. If their families across the fence, we will negotiate some kind of something with Mexico to let their family members come across legally. Because we're going to reunite families together. That's what keeps America thriving and keeps America strong. It's family. I haven't heard any candidate mention anything about family. I'm the first to do it. And I mean what I said. You don't believe me? Try me. And you'll find out that I stand accountable to my words. And it will take place. It'll take some time. It'll take some hard work. It'll take some people that were willing to look at this immigration reform and bring families back together in the United States. There are some guidelines that you have to abide by, check through, and all this other stuff. But I promise you, it'll be painless, hopefully, and we will not have you deported unless you do not comply with the laws and the rules of the United States of America. I will try my best to not allow anyone seeking asylum in the United States that's already here to be deported back across those walls. DACA program is going to continue. We're going to protect those that have been here and working in this economy ever since they started working, going to college, got degrees, and they're working here. And they're trying to make a life for themselves because they know nothing of the country they came from. They were illegally brought here. That was not their fault. They were children. They were babies. They didn't know what was going on. But they made a life for themselves here. And I'm going to see to it they don't have their citizenship, that they get it. So they can be called U.S. citizens. Again, God bless you guys. Have a wonderful night. I just had to bring this stuff to you because I'm sorry, I love people. I care about people. I care about America. I'm not happy about what we've become so far and where we've sunk to, but all that's going to change in time. In time. There's some things that a lot of you are not going to agree with. But, like I said before, there might be decisions I'm just going to have to make it. It's all for keeping everybody safe, sound, and protected in these borders, and those that are abroad, that are in the military. I will never forget the military personnel. And we're going to try to get those guys that have been out there for a long time home and swap them out with fresh people and put them out there and give these guys a chance to come up to their families, spend some holidays with their families. And we'll do this for the first cycle and see how it goes. And like I said, foreign policy is something that we're really looking at, because I don't believe that we should have, other than the Mediterranean Sea, and other coastlines protecting our installations in other countries, that our soldiers need to be in harm's way any longer. And it's time to get them back home to protect these borders here in the United States and where they live, where they got family. So, like I said, family means a great deal to me. And I want every family to have their family under this administration. God bless you. You have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for your time.